So,
You want to get into Formula One. Lucky for you, the 2023 season just came to an end and a fresh start is upon us. Perhaps you're intrigued by the cars or the personalities, or maybe you're just interested in getting to know about it. Regardless of your draw or knowledge, I will be putting together a series of videos detailing and discussing the basic information you need to know to prepare you for your first race, such as how races are formatted and how the cars function. It may appear intimidating or confusing at first, but I hope that by the end of this video, you have concrete, basic understanding of what the sport is all about. Or if you're a returning fan, I'm hoping that I can bring you up to speed about all that you've missed.
I think the best place to start is simply what is F1. Formula One, also just called F1, is an international auto racing sport that utilizes open-wheel, single-seater cars. These cars are known to be the fastest racing cars in the world, because not only are they capable of reaching speeds of over 200 miles per hour, they can also take corners at unbelievably high speeds and can even exceed up to 6 Gs of pressure, which, if you're unaware, equates to over 6 times the gravity on Earth being forced down upon the drivers at a single moment. Season in F1 consists of races known as Grand Prix. These Grand Prix are held all over the world and can take place in a purposely built circuit or track. Or a track can be made from closed public roads, such as Monaco or Singapore, for example. Currently, there are 10 teams competing, with each team made up of 2 drivers, which means there are up to 20 cars on the track at one time. Each season has 2 championships up for grabs. One is the Drivers' Championship and the other is the Constructors' or Team Championship. In order to place for these championships, each race rewards competitors with points depending on where they finish, with first place receiving 25 points, second receiving 18, third 15, and then 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1 for 10th, with the remaining 10 gaining no points. Another little bonus point is awarded to the driver with the fastest lap for that race. At the end of the race, the points drivers score from their teams get added to their team's total points. At the end of the season, the team with the most points wins, or until no other team can mathematically win. For example, if a team is 300 points ahead of all the other teams before the last race, no other team can catch up to their lead, that team with that untouchable lead wins early. What's interesting is, although the drivers work together as teammates to get the most points possible for their team, the Drivers' Championship is actually a 20-person free-for-all for who can score the most points, which leads to some pretty nasty rivalries between teammates.
What the hell are you doing here? What is stupid action? I'm going home. You.
Race weekend. Typical weekend for F1 consists of 3 days. On Friday and Saturday, there are a total of 3 practice sessions, each lasting an hour, which allow teams to gather data from the track and get an idea of how to set up the car for the race. Later in the day on Saturday, there is qualifying. Qualifying determines the starting order of the drivers for race day and has 3 sections to it: Q1, Q2, and Q3. In Q1, all drivers try to set the fastest lap, with the slowest 5 getting eliminated. In Q2, the remaining 15 drivers battle it out to be in the top 10 in order to secure a spot in Q3. Drivers can set as many lap times as they see fit to chase the coveted pole position or first place qualifying. So if they think their current time set will get them through a given session, then they don't necessarily have to drive more. Also, if they get a penalty, such as not keeping the car within the white lines, their lap time is deleted. Finally, we get to Sunday, our race day. The race is the only thing that takes place on Sunday, and it is relatively straightforward. The drivers line up on the grid, do a formation lap, where they heat up their tires, and get one last feeling of the car before they settle themselves in their spots, which are determined during qualifying. They then wait for the sequence of red lights to flash green, indicating the race has begun, and they bolt off the line. During the race, teams will employ different strategies that they think will work the best in order to make their drivers as quick as possible, or to gather as much data as possible if the race is a throwaway conclusion. This may include what lap to pit or what tire compound to use, which brings me to my next point. There are 5 possible tire compounds that can be used during the race: 3 dry weather slick tires and 2 wet weather tires. They are provided by Pirelli, and the compounds go as follows: softs, mediums, and hards, along with intermediates and full wets, which are only used for rainy conditions. Soft tires provide the most grip and traction while racing, and hard tires are able to last the longest. Teams are required to pit, also referred to as boxing,
Box this lap, box this lap.
and use at least 2 different dry compound tires at some point during the race. Pit stops can also be used to repair car damage. Although there are no limits to the number of pit stops a team can have during the race, cars are not allowed to be refueled. This means the amount of fuel initially in the car is determined by race length. Speaking of length, lap times and track lengths will differ. However, there's a 2-hour time limit, and every race has to hit 305 kilometers around that track. There are a lot of different flags and penalties that can be waived and delivered, so I think it's better suited for another video. But the most important one to know is the yellow flag, which makes all of the drivers slow their pace and hold their current positions, usually caused by a collision or loose debris on the track. The cars. The technology used in today's cars is simply mind-blowing. Modern F1 cars are mid-engined, meaning the engine is actually behind the cockpit, with the engines themselves being V6 hybrids. They are only 1.6 liters with turbocharged 6 cylinders, so the car's whopping 1,050 horsepower actually comes mostly from electric motors. The car is able to deploy energy that it saves up via recharging batteries whenever the driver wants to produce even more power in short bursts. Chassis/body is mostly made up of carbon fiber, which results in an extremely light car sitting at under 1,800 pounds. For context, it is over 1,000 pounds lighter than a Toyota Corolla. When drivers sit in the mostly open cockpit, they practically lie down, which makes visibility very difficult in some situations. They use their left foot to brake and the right foot to hit the gas. Gears are changed sequentially with paddles on the steering wheel, and dozens of these changes are made in just one lap. And the steering wheel. I'm not even going to attempt to explain everything that goes on with that right now. It is a $50,000 mini computer right in front of him. The last thing to really know is the reason F1 cars are so fast around corners is because of the downforce that is applied to the car. Downforce is when the wind is directed through wings on the front and rear of the car to give it as much stick as possible. And the direction of this wind is altered through extensive aerodynamics. Once the race hits a certain amount of laps, the rear wing can actually be opened to reduce the amount of downforce produced and give the car an even greater top speed. This is known as the drag reduction system, or DRS for short. DRS can only be used on designated spots on the track and by a driver who is less than a second behind the driver in front to give a better opportunity for an overtake.
Well, I tried to keep that concise, but that was a lot of information. There's still plenty of stuff left to cover, such as teams and drivers, so stay tuned for more in the future. If you made it all the way through this video, thank you so much for watching. And even if you don't really care about what I have to say, hopefully you learned something. And if you did, or if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. It only takes one click, and it means a lot. See you next time.